Please, just make it fast, the CEO said, his voice sharp but edged with fatigue, the kind that comes from carrying too many responsibilities alone. The boardroom was silent, every eye fixed on him. Then the door opened, and Armaan, a single dad with a worn jacket and tired eyes, walked in. There was no fanfare, no polished entrance, only quiet determination. He hung his jacket on the chair, the simple gesture shifting the room's energy in a way no one expected. Armaan had been fighting his own battles for years, juggling work, custody, and the fragile hopes of a 6-year-old daughter, Anya. Life hadn't been kind. Divorce, sleepless nights, financial strain, yet he had never let despair take over. Every morning he woke, kissed Anya, promised her a better life, and delved into work that demanded both intellect and heart. He wasn't just a man, he was a guardian of hope in a world that often felt merciless. Rehan, the CEO, was everything Armaan wasn't: confident, commanding, impeccably groomed, and used to control. His world ran on precision and deadlines, and emotions were a liability he couldn't afford. But today, facing a critical project that could make or break his company, he realized he needed more than numbers and strategy. He needed insight, humanity, someone who could see beyond spreadsheets and timelines. As Armaan began speaking, the boardroom felt alive in a new way. He didn't lecture, he didn't command, he told stories. Stories of sacrifice, resilience, and the silent courage of ordinary people, the very courage he carried every day for Anya. Rehan listened, skeptical at first, then slowly captivated. By the time Armaan finished, it wasn't just a project that had shifted, the CEO's worldview had subtly, irrevocably changed. Weeks later, their connection deepened. One quiet evening, Rehan called Armaan, asking for advice on a personal decision, something that even his wealth and power couldn't solve. They met in a small cafe, the city's chaos fading into the background. Rehan confessed, with rare vulnerability, that his obsession with efficiency had cost him relationships and peace. He admitted he admired the strength Armaan displayed every day, managing responsibilities, making sacrifices, and still maintaining his integrity. "What you do, it's remarkable," Rehan said quietly, almost ashamed of how much he had learned from someone he once considered an underdog. Armaan smiled faintly, saying, "You find strength when someone depends on you. Love gives you courage you didn't know existed." Their conversations stretched late into the night, blending business, life lessons, and personal struggles. Rehan began to see the world not just through balance sheets, but through the lens of empathy, understanding that leadership wasn't about power alone but about the impact on people's lives. Then came the moment that truly changed everything. One night, Anya fell gravely ill. Armaan, overwhelmed, called Rehan without hesitation. The CEO, who rarely let anything break his strict schedule, rushed to the hospital. For the first time, titles and positions melted away. Two men were simply human beings, united by concern for a small life, sharing quiet strength through fear and hope. Rehan stayed through the night, comforting Armaan and his daughter, offering support that transcended any professional obligation. In those long hours, Armaan realized that life's true victories weren't in contracts or promotions, but in connection, trust, and compassion. Rehan understood that efficiency and authority meant little without understanding, empathy, and humanity. They both emerged from the night changed, one finding the warmth of support he had never sought, the other learning that leadership without empathy is incomplete. Months passed. The project that once loomed like an insurmountable challenge became a massive success, surpassing all expectations. But the real triumph was invisible in charts and reports. It was in the relationships that had been nurtured, the lives touched, and the lessons learned. Armaan continued to be a devoted father, now carrying a sense of quiet victory and a network of genuine allies. Rehan continued running his company, but with a new vision, one that valued people as much as profits, empathy as much as efficiency. Their story spread quietly, not through news or accolades, but through the ripple effect of actions. Employees noticed a change in Rehan, a new attentiveness, a softer approach, a willingness to listen. Armaan's courage inspired those who struggled silently, reminding them that ordinary people could accomplish extraordinary things when guided by love and responsibility. One afternoon, as Armaan and Anya walked home from school, Rehan appeared again, not in the boardroom, but as a friend, offering advice, support, even laughter. Anya, once shy around strangers, ran to him with a smile, sensing the bond that had formed from trust and care. Armaan realized that this was what life was truly about, not power, not status, but the moments that make hearts lighter and lives richer. Years later, Anya grew up hearing the stories of her father's courage and the lessons learned alongside Rehan. She understood that strength wasn't about fighting everyone alone, but about embracing humanity, showing empathy, and having the courage to be vulnerable. Armaan had not only provided for her, but had shown her the true meaning of resilience, love, and integrity. Rehan, now a CEO transformed by friendship and experience, often reflected on that day when Armaan removed his jacket in the boardroom. It was a small act, almost unnoticed by many, but it had symbolized everything: humility, courage, and the power of presence. It reminded him that the world might demand speed and results, but the heart would always demand compassion, understanding, and connection. And so, the story concludes with a simple, profound truth: life's greatest impact is measured not in wealth or power, but in love, courage, and humanity. One man's devotion, one small gesture, and one act of empathy had changed everything, proving that sometimes, the right person in the right moment can transform not just a project or a company, but an entire life. As viewers reach the final moment, they're left with an inspiring message: never underestimate the quiet strength of love, the courage in vulnerability, or the power of compassion. The single dad and the CEO, though different in every measurable way, had both learned that true success isn't in achievements alone, but in hearts touched, lives changed, and humanity embraced. And that, in the end, is a legacy far greater than any empire.